if there's a slew of Netflix shows and like, I'm like, man, it's like 1 out of 50, you could tell that it came from the creator. It was so particular, which made it more universal and heartfelt. And then you got the other 50. And I'm like, they're reading algorithms and like what you're clicking on, and they're just serving you like, hey, eat this. We know you like this, but it's missing something.
It's the McDonald's of music. It's, it appeals to the masses, totally. But at the end of the day, it's not, a gourmet burger.
It's not a gourmet burger, and gourmet burgers are going to last. Like there's a few things probably they're going to stand the test of time. For whatever it's worth, we're going to die anyway, but, just...
You're listening to Ourspace with Matt Vettese.
Hello, and thank you for listening to another episode of Ourspace with Matt Vettese. This is actually the first episode of 2026. Technically, we've started the year off strong with some interviews with Greywind, Ben Quad, and Better Hell. But this is the first episode that I'm actually recording in 2026. And I know that everyone says big things are coming this year. But I feel like some big things are coming to Ourspace this year that I want to talk about and start setting things up, because this year we're going to be starting out with some new branding at some point. I actually just got that in my inbox today, so I'm really excited to share with you new logos and all of that. And I'm also going to be shifting the focus of my content for the year of 2026. You may know me from my content on Instagram. Maybe you know me more for this podcast, but I just want you to know my focus for this year is going to be more on the podcast and growing Ourspace media rather than Instagram. Last year, I kind of struggled a bit between what I wanted and, what I wanted versus the quick dopamine hit. Instagram's very much that quick dopamine hit, but I really, really love this, right? Like if you've listened to the show, I come from a radio background, talking to artists, sharing cool new music with people like you, listening and watching on YouTube. Like that's to me where I get the most joy. And so I'm going all in on that. You might see a little bit less or fewer posts on Instagram, but more podcast episodes, long form content, reviews, artist interviews, artist features. Sometimes we might not even do an interview. We'll just be recommending some cool new music and sharing some playlists. If you want more of this type of content and you want to support the show, of course, you know how to do that. But I'm going to tell you anyways, subscribe, follow the show, rate and review it, leave comments on the stuff that you enjoy. Do it for my podcast and the other podcasts that you enjoy. And now for today's chat, we're talking to Demi The Daredevil, which, speaking of engaging with stuff that you like online, he actually reached out to me about the interviews that I do within the scene. So I checked him out and thought, wow, this dude is actually really cool and makes really cool music, and it's different. And I'm always looking for fun conversations with cool, unique people. If I had to describe his music, if you had never heard his music before, I would say as a first-time listener, it would be like, as weird as this sounds, okay, bear with me, Blink-182, My Chemical Romance, 21 Pilots, and Shawn Mendes. Yeah, Shawn Mendes all had a baby.
Oh, Shawn Mendes. That's crazy.
It.
That's awesome.
Welcome to the show, Demi The Daredevil.
I am so glad to be chatting with you, dude. I really do respect, your journalistic, if that's a word, abilities, and your curiosity. You're really good at it. So just super happy to be chatting with you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And I'm super happy to be chatting with you. I really enjoy your music. I'm happy that you reached out because, like I said, I don't know if I would have found you otherwise. So sometimes all it takes is sending a message to someone and boom, you got a new fan.
Yeah, I know. That's such a good point, because I sometimes people will ask like, how did you get started, or like how did you initially find your tribe and your fans? And I think that people don't just send direct. Maybe it's becoming obsolete now, but like when I was in 2017 or something, or 2018, it was like I was sending the DMs to people, and it just built those people are still here today, and it built that like personal connection. And it's not just kind of like a blanket, let's see how much reach we can get, and then like you never see someone again.
Yeah, I feel like maybe TikTok kind of ruined that algorithm wise in terms of like the social aspect and like the building a community sense of it. Whereas now Totally. It's like anyone can go viral by posting a video, and maybe they can build up a fan base, but are you really building a community? Whereas back in the MySpace days, or even what you were talking about in 2016, 2017 of connecting with people, you bring in real life fans forever, because not only are they going to like your music or remember your music, they're going to remember the connection that you made.
Yeah, totally agree. I know. And there's got to be some middle ground now where you're having to really focus, I feel like, on what like platforms like Discord or your email list, or I mean, I guess that's always been the case, but it seems to be like if you go online, it's just like interest based media. It's not really community building, yeah, as much. So you just got to kind of start moving them to your place where you could be a little bit more honest and vulnerable, and not just like, here's what I am, here's my product.
Yeah, because it does feel like you're pushing a product down people when it's just kind of like trying to do viral video after viral video at times, whereas at least having some of that human connection, I think that's what people are craving a lot more these days. And I feel like that's going to be the thing that the successful people start to connect with these days. I feel like we've had too many years in a row where there's been a lot of just sort of like ads being rammed down your throat online. Whereas now, especially with AI, and I don't know how much of your feed is AI slop right now, but every now and then, you catch an AI video and you're like, I think we've gone too far one way that now we need to come all the way back.
It's a good point. Yeah. Cause it was always, I mean, you still hear people say content is king. You need to do so much content. But it's almost like that's not even the competition anymore. If like there's ungodly amounts of content, it's just the slop. Like, it's just like, okay, well, how do I connect on a deep level, without getting too heavy on social media, but also having some kind of like, deeper substance to it, hopefully.
Yeah. And, like you have some solid streaming numbers, like a lot of songs over 1 million streams, some upwards of 7 million, over 151,000 monthly listeners. What do you think it is that draws people in the most?
Yeah, I think it might be that. I mean, like, I think that when I first started this, it was like I come from a lot of trauma. Like I come from like a place where it was kind of like being exposed to chronic harm as a kid and didn't really have anyone to protect me. So it shot me off in this direction of being like really developmentally, like I'm very fragmented and I have like so much stuff to consolidate in me as an identity. And so I feel like every song has been just like, I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to get a more stable sense of self. And I feel like I don't, because it still works for a lot of bands, but like you can kind of tell sometimes when people, the pain and all that is more of an aesthetic, and it's just like you can't really hold on to something specific. And so like I feel like I kind of lean a little bit more to the clinical, here's the symptoms, they're very specific, like I'm actually going through it. So it might be the words, and I love I don't know, I think that the music just can always try to improve, but I like the fundamentals of good music where it's like what's a really beautiful chord progression, what's beautiful voicing, not maybe the best of the melodies, but it's just like, how do we make something that actually is like beautiful to listen to and not just like hard, like ugly.
Yeah, it sounds like you really try to take it deeper on an emotional level versus just kind of doing something that aesthetically fits into a box.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And that's worked against me, I feel like, too, in certain ways where I can see how, certain bands early on, they would just be like, here's the product. And like the label would be like, I see the product, I see the lane super clear. And it's kind of been, I always did it backwards where I'm just like, it's going to be spaghetti against the wall because this is how, and then try to kind of look at it with more perspective as I get older. But yeah.
How do you feel? You mentioned that you feel like sometimes it holds you back. How do you feel like it holds you back?
Actually, I specifically remember a comment from a fan a while back, and they were just like, you're kind of like a burrito with everything on it, chocolate, like peanut butter,
all of the things that you think of when you think of a burrito.
Exactly. It's like you sound like a burrito made by a 5-year-old kid who's just putting everything together. So yeah, I think that might be like it's sometimes hard to be like, all right, like you got so many different elements happening, and I could see how that's also like a restraint issue for that old stuff that I used to make. Yeah, so it's been kind of like expression came first. Marketing came second. And, I think that might be, some people they do it the opposite way. It's just like marketing is first. And then the expression is like, that's got to serve the marketing, which seems to work the best, I feel like, for a lot of people. But it was just maybe an out of order thing. Now I'm kind of thinking about like, okay, let's restrain yourself. Like, let's just stay within some limits. It's actually good for you to do that.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because I think that that's probably more of an industry thing, because they want you to be marketable, because obviously they're in it to make money, whereas as a creative, you want to put everything into the creative basket, right? And really put your emotions and everything into that. And who cares about the marketing? Let that get figured out afterwards.
Totally. That's
Make a good product, and then it's easy to sell, right? As long as you have the good product. But that's not necessarily always the case, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still like to believe that should come first. I mean, like, even there's got to be a balance, but like, I do think that the art suffers if it's the marketing first. You can tell. It's almost like I'm watching, like, if there's a slew of Netflix shows, and like, I'm like, man, it's like 1 out of 50. Like, you could tell that it came from the creator. It was so particular, which made it more universal and heartfelt. And then you got the other 50. And I'm like, they're reading algorithms and like what you're clicking on, and they're just serving you like, hey, eat this. We know you like this, but it's missing something.
It's the McDonald's of music. It's, it appeals to the masses, but at the end of the day, it's not, a gourmet burger.
It's not a gourmet burger, and gourmet burgers are going to last. I mean, like, what's going to stand? Like, there's a few things probably they're going to stand the test of time, for whatever it's worth. We're going to die anyway, but, just.
I kind of mentioned that I thought your sound was kind of a mix of some pop punk, some emo. Man, when I listen to your music, I hear 21 Pilots in there, and that's a compliment. They're one of my favorite bands lately. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
And then Shawn Mendes, I kind of threw that in there because you kind of have this really, like, you're a good singer, right? Like, I think when I think of a lot of emo music, I think of like the raspy, raw vocals, which I also love. Like, that's what attracted me to the genre. I like the terrible vocals, but also at the same time, I think the reason why pop music is so popular is because everything has clean vocals. You kind of bring that clean vocal, that electronic element towards the emo genre. And we've seen so many cases of it working in the past. I'm kind of curious where you think your music stands.
Well, yeah, that's, I never thought of it to put in the Shawn Mendes, like, kind of like polished pop vocal category, but I do know that I'm trying to think of where, like, my first thought was like, I heard a lot of Chicago as a kid, like the band Chicago, or like, I'm trying to think if there's got to be other bands similar to that, but it was just such like smooth, Phil Collins. Maybe it's just like this smooth vocal delivery, and maybe it's just in my brain, but it wasn't necessarily pop in my head. But it's like, that could be it. But I think, yeah, my stuff, I put it in the dark theatrical alternative music, and it's in the emo vein for sure. I discovered emo when I was in 7th grade, and it's like that angstiness is definitely, that vibe is definitely in my blood. I would say it's like that, and it's got the kind of geek culture, like kind of this a little bit of a surrealism escape of just fantasy building, but fantasy is like a survival craft, and not like as an escape. Totally, it's just kind of like my brain just works in terms of just kind of like dreamcore, or like very odd, fantastical things, a little dark, whimsical, gothic fantasy stuff. So yeah,
I'm glad that you brought that up, because you're very unique in a sense of, we kind of talked about that, where Demi the Daredevil, I feel like if you had a great big pot and you're putting in a whole bunch of spices, like there's a little bit of theatrical, there's a little bit of like drama kid, there's a little bit of horror, there's a little bit of emo, there's a little bit of alternative and grunge and punk and pop and electronica. So that you can tell that you're pulling from so many different influences. And we talked a little bit about marketing earlier. So that's kind of like the way that you are marketed, as this like whimsical, theatrical, emo, electronic artist. What made you think of, hey, if I mix a little bit of this, mix a little bit of that, mix a lot of it, like, where do those influences all come from? How did you create basically Demi the Daredevil?
I just think it was total accident. My first thought is like an example of this is like, I know you were talking about genre based, but just like when I first started, like the first album cover, it was just like I looked in my wardrobe or my closet and I was like, okay, I got like a black and white striped shirt. That's my emo mime thing. It just works. Pugsley from the Addams Family. And then and then I randomly bought red suspenders the week before. And I'm like, okay, let me just wear this on top of it. And then I saw Saul Steinberg, the New York cartoonist, who also had these photography things where they were wearing paper bags with like faces drawn on it. And so I'm like, let me just put all this on and let's take a picture in front of this. And then that became like the character that was used from here on out. That's like the fans will make the art about that. And so there was just an example, but like even the sound, it was like, 21 Pilots. It's like when they were probably the reason why I think I realized I could just make all the parts myself. I think I saw a video of him in a bus and he was just like, oh, okay, he makes all the parts. He's arranging all the parts, or that's how he started at least. And so that gave me the electronic edge to be, or well, if I can't find the perfect bandmates, I'm just going to have to figure it out myself, even if I can't play guitar yet. And then it's really hard to say. It's just all throughout time, I used whatever I could at my whatever I had in front of me and just went with that. Because this started as a project. I was just the drummer and the lead singer who looked exactly like Tom DeLonge. It was totally pop punk. And then we gave it up, and then he passed away and we gave it up for a while. And then I went back in and I made the music with my brother, who's a classical pianist. And so we went that direction. And then, it just kind of just kept evolving. I basically am just using whatever I have on my Pro Tools or whatever plugins I have. And it's just like whatever sounds I could find that I like. It's kind of based off of that.
It sounds like it's been a long journey to get here.
I've used to hate that idea more than I do now. I think I'm accepting that's just everybody. I don't feel any shame about that. I feel like that everybody's timeline is just so, we kind of give glory to the people who started at the top of the mountain. Usually they're the ones who make it big. It's like they started up here and then everyone looks at the results, but then there's a lot of us who really had a lot of struggles to overcome. So it's like, given where I was and how bad of a state I was, then I feel like, it was, it was a long journey, but I definitely made a lot of strides from where I was. Yeah.
Yeah. I love to hear that, because I think you made a very good point there, in a sense of there's a lot of artists that come up overnight, because not all of them are overnight, but some of them are really young and it happens for them really, really quickly. And we want to celebrate them in a sense of like, well, look how young and talented they are. And they did, it so quickly. But also there's another side of the coin of the people that have been working so hard for 10, 15, 20, 30 years before they even, scratch the surface. And I think that we need to celebrate those people even more, because they've been putting in their time, dues, and everything. And I think when it does take more time as well, you build a much stronger foundation.
Yeah. And I'd be curious to see how you see that foundation. Yeah. There could be so many, because we know when you're young, it's like, okay, it's obvious. It's like, if you haven't been through as much, you could still be wise though. It's like, you still have like Billie Eilish and being like, yeah, she's like emotionally sensitive and she's wise for how young she is. I'm trying to overcome, because I don't want anybody to suffer more than they have to. And I think that her parents were amazing. And I think they were in a bubble and they got raised and nurtured very well. And so she just can't talk about, if she started talking about insane asylums and just kind of glamorizing or aestheticizing these really intense, severe, traumatic experiences, then we wouldn't buy it. It's like she can't go there because she just never went through it, and also because she's younger. Like you're saying, when you're younger, you just don't have that kind of pain that you've overcome in all those different ways.
I think when you're older too, when you finally get to that point, you know how to actually handle it, because now you've gone through a lot more just in general in life. There's a lot of younger people that have also, they can either crash and burn or they can sustain it. I feel like a lot of that depends on the type of people that they have around them. That's not necessarily them.
Yeah.
But you did drop an EP, 5-song EP in December I want to talk about. When you drop an EP like Vanishing Point, do you go in with a concept, or do you just kind of write songs and then figure out how they piece together afterwards?
It's been a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, because I wrote the the story for the album that comes after Vanishing Point, before Vanishing Point, and then I just couldn't help. And it was also a smaller body of work. I'm like, let's see what happened before that period and that stage. And so Vanishing Point was like, okay, let's start with the time period of being in high school and being like in your adolescence, being raised in your household. So it kind of started there, and that was the guideline. And then, and then went from there.
So you built an album. So you have an album that's going to be coming out eventually. And this was sort of like the epilogue to that album.
Yeah, exactly. I use that word too. I was like, epilogue, because I think somebody, I was getting advice to be like, look, you can't do an album yet. We got to get I think it doesn't make sense for artists to do, because you put in so much work and it's going to give you the same momentum as maybe a single you would. And so there's lessen it out, just do a single. And I'm like, I can't do a single because I'm just I'm a world building kind of person. I don't want to do a single. And so but then having that epilogue idea, I kept writing that. I'm like, this is the epilogue, this is the epilogue. I'm going to frame my mind to be like, this happens before. Yeah.
Yeah. When you started talking about that concept, and then I'm thinking EP, epilogue, I'm like, that's perfect. It's kind of like a Star Wars story,
Yeah. Totally.
A lot of your music also balances between vulnerable emotional music and theater. And I feel like it's really easy when it comes to theater stuff. I'm going to admit right now, I'm not a theater person. I'm not a drama person. I hate musicals. But
me too. I hate almost every musical minus 5. Yeah.
But so it's really easy to get cheesy with theatrical side of things. So I'm kind of curious how you balance the vulnerable side with the theatrical side.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way for one. That's the biggest flaw that I can't help but have a problem with too with musicals, was where I feel like the melodies themselves are not written from the emo vein that we're talking about, where it's just you could feel it from the gut, and it's got a certain MCR has these certain atonal notes, and it's just it's coming from the gut. And then musicals feel like they're written on a graph, on a math graph with points, and it just feels so polished and oh, this is performing the emotion, this is not the actual emotion. And so you hear that all the time. But I don't like to do it that way either. I mean, maybe Weezer would be an example of someone who's really logical with their melodies. You could tell he's kind of computing stuff, but I don't want to, and like you said, how do I balance it? I mean, I don't know, in the past, I think people thought that I was really flamboyant and I was kind of playing characters, and maybe it was this coming from insecurity where I'm okay, I don't actually feel this while I'm recording it, but I'm gonna perform like I am, and I'm gonna give it my all, but it's not actually coming in the moment, which is really hard. It's like an actor. How do you tap into that authentically? So maybe that was initially the theatrical vibe, but I think that I want maybe the lyrics. The lyrics come from a raw place. And anytime I sing, it's going to express the lyrics. I'm going to have to mean the lyrics, what I say. So as long as if I have the lyrics there, then I think I can pull it off and not sound like a musical. That was a very long-winded response.
Yeah, I guess at that point, you're just putting so much raw emotion into your songs that it's never going to sound like a musical, even if you add the theatrical component to it.
Yeah. Well said. Wow. You summed it up. You summed it up in 15 seconds for me.
What song on the EP has surprised you the most in terms of how much people have connected to it?
Blackbird July. It was the final song. I'm used to every song that sounds a little bit more sentimental and sweet. I'm used to all those getting no streams really, but also a lot of private DMs about those kind of songs. But this one actually is actually doing, pretty well. Where I feel like it's a balance between it's got the heartfelt connection to it, and it's actually being streamed where it's it's being liked, received well, and listened to. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song on the EP?
That one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Is that the one that you've put the most of yourself into? I'm sure you put yourself into all of them, but
this one was the hardest one to write because it was about my old best friend and the founder of this band. It was about him and about how he completely changed my life, and how he died. And so it took me a long time to I never talked about it before, and I was trying to scratch the surface trying to go to, and then finally I'm just like, you know what, fuck this. And like, can I cuss on here? Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just, get that, like, it's always the same issue. I talk. And then finally I'm just like, I'm so frustrated. I need to get this out. But it was really cathartic because I kind of like feel very proud that I mapped out the exact, everything, a lot of what I wanted to say about him. And it's both beautiful and tragic. It's just like, oh my God, here's the point in the album, in the EP where it's like, you meet somebody that's actually showing you what it's like to hold on to your identity and not conform and not give into trauma and not disappear. And they're your first introduction. I'm sure you have it too. Everybody has this, some kind of a band or a figure in their life, and they just open their eyes. And so that was that. And then in the song process, it's like he died, and like everything was real about it. It's just like I remember carrying his hearse to his coffin to the funeral, and I remember it was a very vivid song, and I'm super proud of it. Yeah,
that's really, really emotional, and I can imagine that one being the most special. Is that the most special song that you've written to date?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a few other ones that are very, very, no matter what, I feel like someone's going to cry when they hear it, or at least I believe that. And then this one's definitely, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to cry when I hear it every time. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to play it live yet?
No, I have not. That's the one that I have not played live yet, but I'm excited to play it in March.
What do you think is going to happen when you play that for the first time?
Oh man. I think I'm going to not play the bass great, but I'm going to try really hard to play it as best as I can. I'm learning. It's a faster song. It's like a punk song. So I'm thinking about the technical. I'm like, let's just pull off, like, make sure you play it right. But yeah, when I play it live, maybe the great songs are like that. It's so personal to me that I'm really not going to be thinking about anybody, I think. And I'll be like, I don't know if you guys will like this, but here we go.
I like that answer. Like, it's so personal. You can kind of almost disassociate in a sense.
Absolutely.
You're heading out for this tour in March. What excites you most about this run?
I think I want to practice the craft of performing on stage and all that. I want to love it even more and more. But right now, the first thought was I love to talk with people who've known me online, that we've talked with online, or just somehow vicariously, parasocially know me. And then I get to see them in person when I'm selling merch or whatever, just like sometime at the venue. And it's just like looking at their face and being like, wow, this is a real, can I touch you? No, I'm not going to touch you. Like, are you real? Yeah.
Can I pet you?
Yeah. May I pet you? I ask everybody this. Yeah. It feels such a different experience to see someone's facial expressions, and I'm able to read them better in person and be like, wow, like this is crazy, because, I thought I was alone. I still feel like I was alone in this, and like you're confirming that you were alone in this. And yeah, this is a very special relationship.
It's crazy how music does that and yet brings people together, because I've got a bunch of followers on social media. You've got a bunch of followers, and people streaming your music all the time. Millions of people have streamed your music. And yet, I'm speaking from my personal experience, it still feels like there's loneliness in all of it. And then you go to somewhere like a festival or a concert, and you see thousands of people that are all feeling the same emotion. And that's, I think, the thing that I personally love so much about music is like how it connects us all. And I'm sure as a musician, seeing people connect over something that you created must be an unmatched feeling.
That's such a good point, because it's something bigger than us. It's something bigger than the musicians. Like when you talk about it that way, because I'm like, it's just people coming together with shared, put the person aside. It's just beliefs, it's feelings. And yeah, and I was afraid of that. Like I've had so many years of, humiliating shows, or like just things where I'm just like, nobody gives a damn. And I'm like, I'm here and I'm terrified. No one's going to show up. No one's going to care about what I'm doing. And then, yeah, I'm starting to see that, like playing shows where I'm playing a B-side song that like nobody seems to care about online. But then like I'm hearing like, oh shit, like everybody was singing that one. Not everybody, but there was like, I hear you guys. So that's the special part. It's not really, I don't know. Yeah. That's not the songs that do the best online as much as like, oh, wow, like you dug enough to like look at that song. It's not a popular song at all. and it was deeply meaningful. It was just, again, back to like, it was so private and it was so personal. It's so we're lonely. We can't connect. I feel like we're just in such a loneliness epidemic, and maybe it's always been like that, but it just feels like I feel like that's the thing that I always come away from on tour or anywhere. I'm just like, we're like trying so hard to connect, and like we don't know how because we weren't taught to do it. The system does not teach us how to connect in a real way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care about that. It cares about your output and your productivity. It's just...
You've talked openly about mental health and feeling like an outsider. Has building this community around Demi changed your relationship with that part of yourself?
What is this problem? I'm trying to define the block, but there's some kind of block I have where it's like, no matter what positive input I've gotten, I've kind of just blocked it out for all these years. I'm just like, maybe for better or for worse, they say like, oh, don't listen to the praise, don't listen to the hate. But I think it's not necessarily a healthy thing. I kind of have just not been able to soak in the love that I've gotten. And no diss to my household. Again, like, everyone was harmed in their own way. I don't feel like I experienced what real love was growing up. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, when I see it, I'm like, well, what are your motives? Like, what are you trying to get from me? What are you trying to trap me with? Or that's where my mind goes. And so, to evolve on that idea, they've changed me. The fans have completely changed me because I've experienced that. I've experienced, like, it's taken a while. It's like a cat being like abused, and like that you put them in like a loving environment. It's like, oh, I'm going to be like on guard for a long time, and then soon I'll start. So they help me. They drop those seeds for a long time, and I feel like I think they've shown me what real love was.
I want to take a quick second to just acknowledge how vulnerable and open you've just been on the show, and like, I just want to let you know that I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having that conversation and feeling safe enough to have this conversation here. So I do want to recognize that, and in the very least, so thank you for
best.
Feeling comfortable enough to open up on my show. I really do appreciate that.
And guys, just a little shout out to, like, I feel like we could talk about like dudes nowadays, where it's like women are so, not to go off too much. I feel like there's a lot of issues with guys nowadays, sometimes because we're not allowed to talk about this kind of stuff. And Matt's another example of somebody who's able to just calmly receive vulnerability, and it's okay to do that. It's a good example. We should all be like this and not get threatened, you know?
I really think this is, the reason why I love having these conversations, the reason why I started making silly videos about the music that I like, the reason why I connected with the music, is because of how vulnerable it is. And I feel like so many of the kids that got attached to this specific type of music growing up, there's a reason why. And it's because they found some sort of connection with the music. It was like, I remember the first time I threw on The Used, for instance, and I thought, oh, I'm not alone. And I feel like music has that ability to do that. Emo music specifically, which is why I started this podcast, why I went into radio. It's motivated so much of me. And I really like to see the progress that we've made as a society when it comes to mental health in that aspect. And it's also why, as an adult, I'm like, well, we don't gatekeep emo music here. And we want everybody to listen to the cool bands that we found and we share, because if one other kid out there connects with, let's say, your song or a Bang Quad song or, a Hot Mulligan song, and it helps them feel less alone or saves them in a way, then we're kind of doing the Lord's work there in that sense, right? Totally. I'm not a religious person, but this is my way of spreading the gospel of emo music.
Dude, that's so well said, man. So well said. Even we won't go where, I know I'm not religious either, but it just made me think of a quote, spread the gospel. There was that little thing where I think Jesus, I think he was saying the people's hearts are hardened and they can't listen, but they can't hear it anymore because their hearts are hardened. So it's like, that seems to be what you're doing. It's like, we're spreading the word of like, don't close down your heart. Like it's heart. Like emo is like your heart's on your sleeve.
That's just it, man. Emo, man, they say it's emotional music, but like that's just it. It's also a way for so many people that don't know how to express their emotions to express their emotions. Like I don't play in a band anymore. I don't play music anymore, but I did as a teenager, and that was my escape from those emotions that I couldn't express. I'd go in my room, I'd pick up my guitar, I would write a song, and that was it. Nobody needed to hear it, but that was my outlet, right? And I feel like, you know, or either that or putting on my headphones was my outlet and listening to those songs, right? But like, it's such a good, healthy outlet. And you think about all of the negative outlets that there are out there, man, emo is probably the least harmful outlet that some kids can have these days.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. I think Bert, did you mention the Used right now, the band?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all time. Them and Green Day, all time favorites. And I think he was saying like, yeah, music is probably the healthiest escape. And I was like, does he mean like it was still like not the best escape? But I'm like, it quite. In short, it's the healthiest escape. I think it's just the best. It's stimulation. If you, I remember listening to music so much, like 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and at a certain point, I was like, it was overstimulating, and I was just like, this is draining me. So it's like, yeah, sure, stimulation, you got to keep it, like try to control it. But in short, it's the healthiest thing in the world. If I put on music, it's going to change. It changes your life. Like it just will change your day-to-day process.
You can't overdose on music, man.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
You never have enough of it. And you know what? I think that music really does make everything better. I mean, music makes me want to be healthier. It makes me want to, like, I want to go to the gym because I want to run around in a freaking circle pit at 34 years old and finish up the night and be like, all right, I'm good. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to go to work the next day and I'm going to be totally fine because I went to the gym. Or like a new album came out and I'm like, I want to listen to it privately with my headphones on without any distractions. Let's go on the freaking treadmill, you know? Let's go for a drive.
Yeah. It's safe.
Do you feel that way about your music with fans?
I do. I think that there's, even though there's a rebellious edge and I'm just like, brush up on, kind of like the nightmare of bureaucracy or nightmare of your mind. I still do want it to be safe. Ultimately, I don't want people to come and feel like they're not protected because I know what it feels like to be terrified. And I'm like, it's.
And you know what? I think the rebellious side of things is what people connect to. Right. I think deep down, we're all rebelling. We're all trying to get out of the box that society puts us into. So I think that that's what people connect with the most, especially within this type of music, So that's fantastic. A big thing about this show, and I kind of mentioned, is about growing the scene, sharing our love of music. So the last question that I like to ask on the show is, who is the most underrated artist or band that you're listening to right now that you think other people should check out?
My first thought, which is irrelevant because he already died, was Elliott Smith. I'm just like, oh, that's he got a
super
little
underrated. I agree. That's also like
underrated. Yeah. So, but everyone's gonna be so pissed to hear this that their bands. There's like, why didn't you shout me out, dude? Why? Can you tell me yours while I decide on mine?
Man, I can rattle off a whole list of them. I'll even go onto my Spotify right now. We had Ben Quad on recently. I think Ben Quad is one of the best up and coming bands right now. Okay. I really love Military Gun. They dropped God Save the Gun last year, and that was a top record. Like they were that record's incredible. There's a band that I found recently called Bike Roots. Roots or Routes. They're fantastic. Spanish love songs. I think that they don't get enough love, and they've dropped one of my favorite albums of all time with Brave Faces, Everyone.
Oh, Spanish love songs. Are these all in the emo alternative vein?
These are all in the emo space. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Spanish love songs is like a top band for me. They've toured with the Wonder Years, not too long ago. They're all kind of like up and coming, but also, I guess, bigger bands within the scene, if you want to say. Leisure Hours, one that I found recently that I really, really freaking love. They kind of have like a Midwesty emo vibe to them. They're fantastic as well. There's just so many really, really cool bands in the scene right now.
Okay. That are great. Man, well, I wrote them all down. I'm going to listen to those. I'm trying to think of something that is like K Flay is probably already bigger than I think. I feel like maybe a tiny bit underrated, but she's bigger. There's this band, a Nuke. Have you heard of a Nuke?
No.
AN00K is how you pronounce it. And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. NO00K. And it was the song Crumble. And they made it with Lev UFO.
Okay.
And,
yeah, I'm going to add this to my list to check out.
Yeah.
11,000 monthly listeners. I would say that's a pretty solid, underrated pick.
That is pretty solid, right? It's kind of rare to find, stuff like...
Look at this. Yo, hey, everyone. I make music from my bedroom. I'm from South Africa, and come say hi on Instagram. I love talking to y'all.
I did not even know that. South Africa. Okay. Man, I wish there was, sometimes in these interviews, I wish there was like an after hour. Oh, you know what? You're going to post this on Spotify and you're allowed to comment on Spotify, right?
Yeah. You going to drop some comments on Spotify after?
Anybody who listens to this, when it's out, I'm prepared to see a list of 5 people, because I do add a bunch of stuff to playlists and I like songs, but I add so many songs that are from all time periods. So I'm trying to sift through recent ones, and there's just too much for me to think of. So I will comment some and give and help spread the love. Yeah, because some of them right now, it's like I know the song, but I don't know the band name. It's like we save songs, and I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. I don't know the band name.
I can get like that too, which is also why I pulled out my Spotify. So I'm kind of cheating in that sense of things. I'm like, I know what the new bands are that I've been listening to and loving, but I also kind of need to pull up that history and be like, oh yeah, this is what I want to listen to right now. It's this band.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I just remembered one more. Okay, Aphrodite by Ethan Gander. He's featured on one of my songs, but I just thought of this one song that I keep listening to again and again from him, and I would say he's underground more or less.
I love that. We've got a couple of options here, and if you do leave that comment, have a look at the comment section on Spotify.
You best believe I will be leaving 10 at least. Yeah.
10. I love it. So we're going to have a whole bunch of things to check out.
And then people, if you're hearing this in your band, just send me $4,000 and I'll drop your name in the comments too. We'll spread. No, I was kidding. I'm just kidding. I obviously would not. I'm just.
That's hilarious though. Well, Vanishing Point is out now. Demi the Daredevil's EP. We talked earlier about an album that's going to be coming out. I'm not sure if you can share when that comes out, if that's going to be a 2026 thing or a 2027 thing, but we know that is going to be coming out at some point. So keep an eye out for a new record. Go and listen to this new EP that came out in December. Keep an eye out for some tour dates near you in March. And remember to subscribe and like the show, leave a comment, rate and review it. And, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Ourspace with Matt Vettese. And thank you so much, Demi the Daredevil.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you to all the listeners for caring about independent music. Matt's doing good work.
Thank you for listening to Ourspace with Matt Vettese. If you enjoyed yourself, please support the show by subscribing and leaving a review.